Ever get the feeling that, like, there's this hidden set of rules to life? Like these unwritten codes that some people just seem to navigate challenges with, and others, well, they kind of struggle.
Yeah.
Well, today, we are cracking those codes wide open,
Okay.
starting with a concept that might seem a little counterintuitive at first. The power of silence.
Ooh.
Buckle up, because you're about to learn how choosing not to react
Yeah.
can actually be your secret weapon.
Ooh, I like that.
Especially when the world expects you to,
Yeah.
go boom.
To go boom, yeah, that's a great way to put it. You see, we're often conditioned to believe that we need to speak up, to defend ourselves, to fight back.
Right.
But what if I told you that sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to simply stay silent?
That's precisely what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
Think of it as unlocking a life code.
Okay.
A strategy for those tricky situations where your gut reaction, well, might not be the most effective one. We're talking about harnessing the power of silence to shift the energy, regain control, and even spark some self-reflection in those around you.
It's fascinating how often we get caught up in the expectation of drama.
Yeah.
It's almost as if society rewards conflict, and sometimes even simple kindness gets mistaken for weakness. But remember what Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We let the actions and words of others kind of dictate our emotional responses.
Right.
And often preemptively suffering because we assume the worst.
So what you're saying is that silence can almost disrupt this cycle, like hitting the pause button on a runaway train.
Exactly.
Okay.
Imagine someone wrongs you, and they're practically salivating for a reaction.
Oh, yeah.
They expect you to explode, to give them a fight.
Right.
But by choosing silence, you defy those expectations and take control of the situation in a way they never saw coming. As Lao Tzu wisely put it, silence is a source of great strength.
It's almost like you're pulling the rug out from under them. They're all set for a dramatic showdown, and you just meet them with nothing.
Precisely. And that nothing can be incredibly powerful. Think about it.
Yeah.
When you don't react, the spotlight shines directly on their actions. There's no back and forth, there's no distractions. They're left to sit with the weight of what they've done.
Yeah.
And that can be profoundly uncomfortable.
It reminds me of that Martin Luther King Jr. quote. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Sometimes silence speaks volumes, even when there are no words.
Absolutely. And that silence can lead to genuine self-reflection in the person who wronged you.
Oh, wow.
Stripped of your reaction, they might start to see their behavior from a different perspective, maybe even experiencing a twinge of regret.
So we're not just talking about like passively keeping your mouth shut. This is about strategically using silence as like a tool to shift the entire dynamic.
Yes,
It's almost like a secret weapon.
Exactly. It requires a good deal of self-control and an understanding of your own inherent power.
Right.
Mastering this life code, it isn't easy, but the payoff can be truly remarkable.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind, but I have to ask, are there any like real world examples of this? Like, has anyone actually used this silence thing to like make a real difference?
Oh, tons of examples.
Oh, good.
Think about Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
And his philosophy of nonviolent resistance. He faced unimaginable oppression, yet he chose silence and peaceful protest over violence and retaliation.
Wow.
His impact was undeniable, altering the course of history. It's a perfect illustration of how choosing not to react can actually spark monumental change.
Wow, that's incredible. But how can we bring this down to a level we can all relate to? Let's say someone's trying to provoke you. Maybe a coworker, trying to get a rise out of you in front of everyone else.
Ah, classic power play. Their goal is to get you to engage.
Yeah.
To react defensively, maybe even lose your cool.
Right.
But imagine if instead you chose silence. You don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction.
Yeah.
They're left standing there with their negativity, and it suddenly feels awkward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see how that would be effective.
Yeah.
But what happens next? How does their awkward silence actually like shift the energy?
Well, for starters, it often throws the other person completely off balance. They don't know how to handle it.
Right.
Because it goes against their expectations. And while they're fumbling for their next move, you have time to collect your thoughts and decide how you want to proceed. It's a chance to regain control and composure, to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively,
That's a great point. It's not about like being a pushover or suppressing your emotions. It's more like taking a strategic pause.
Yes.
As Mark Black said, sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax.
Exactly. You don't have to fire back immediately. Take that time to process, to choose a more powerful and effective response.
So we've got this idea of strategic silence, disrupting expectations and regaining control. But what's happening on the other side? How is all this silence impacting the person who's, trying to provoke you?
That's where things get really interesting, and that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
Ooh.
The impact of silence isn't just on you, it's on them as well.
Oh, okay.
It can lead to some surprising, even unexpected outcomes.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more about this. Stay tuned, everyone, because we're about to unlock another layer of this powerful life code.
What's fascinating is that as that silence stretches out, you know the person who is trying to provoke you. They might start to feel the weight of their own actions. It's like all that negative energy they were putting out there, well, it has nowhere to go.
It's almost like that awkward silence after you tell a bad joke.
Yeah.
It just hangs there, making everyone uncomfortable.
Exactly. And in that space, doubts can creep in.
Oh, yeah?
Without your reaction to fuel the fire, they might start questioning their approach. Did they misread the situation? Did they underestimate you?
So instead of getting the rise they were hoping for,
Yeah.
they're left facing their own reflection. Their attempt to control the situation kind of backfires spectacularly.
Precisely. And that reflection can be incredibly powerful. It's like Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you.
Oh, wow.
Your silence, in a way, it becomes a source of illumination, highlighting the flaws in their behavior and maybe even leading to genuine regret.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Their attempt to wound you ends up revealing their own vulnerability.
It really is a kind of poetic gnostis. And it all goes back to the idea that silence isn't simply the absence of words.
Right.
It's a display of self-control, of inner strength. It's like we were saying earlier about life codes. This is a prime example of how mastering silence can unlock a new level of personal power.
It's like you're saying, I see right through your tactics, but I'm not going to play your game. And that kind of like self-possession, that's incredibly powerful.
It is, and it can be contagious. When you remain calm and collected in the face of their provocation, it can actually de-escalate the situation. The other person might even start to mirror your behavior, calming down themselves.
Wow. So you're not only taking control of your own emotions, you're potentially influencing the other person's behavior as well.
Right.
It's like a ripple effect of calm.
Right, and even if they don't immediately calm down, your silence is still making a statement. It's showing them that you're not going to let their negativity define you, that you operate by a different set of rules.
And those rules, those life codes, they're all about choosing a path of strength and resilience.
Right, absolutely. Remember, silence isn't about being passive.
Yeah.
It's about being deliberate, about making a conscious choice to respond in a way that aligns with your values and empowers you.
This is so inspiring. I love this idea of silence as a tool for self-improvement and personal growth. It's not about like winning or losing an argument. It's about rising above the drama and finding a sense of inner peace.
Beautifully said, and that path of inner peace, that's what allows us to connect with our true strength and wisdom. It's where these life codes really come to life.
We've been talking about silence on a personal level, but can this concept be applied on a larger scale? Can silence be a force for good in the world?
That's a fantastic question, and it's something we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore how this principle of silence can ripple outward, creating positive change on a much grander scale.
I can't wait to hear more. We'll be right back with the final part of our exploration into the power of silence. So we've been unpacking this incredible life code of silence.
Yeah.
How it can empower us personally and even like shift the dynamics in our interactions.
Right.
But now I'm wondering, can this concept scale up? Can silence actually be a force for good in the wider world?
Absolutely. Think about the impact of peaceful protests, of silent vigils.
Right?
They convey powerful messages without a single word being spoken.
You're right, those images are so striking. It's like the silence itself amplifies the message.
Yeah.
It forces us to really confront what's going on.
Exactly. Silence cuts through all the noise, the rhetoric, the distractions. It creates a space for genuine contemplation, for empathy,
Yeah.
and for a deeper understanding of the issues at hand.
I remember seeing Images of massive crowds just standing in silent protest.
Yeah.
And you could just feel the weight of their message, their shared purpose, their collective pain and hope. It was incredibly moving.
And that shared experience, that sense of solidarity created by silence, can be a powerful catalyst for change.
Yeah.
It can bridge divides and inspire action in a way that words sometimes can't.
We talked earlier about how silence can create a sense of unease
Yeah.
in someone who's trying to provoke you.
Right.
Do you think that same principle applies on a larger scale? Can silence make those in power uncomfortable enough
Yeah.
to actually drive real change?
Without a doubt.
Wow.
When people in power are met with a wall of silence,
Right.
it disrupts their carefully crafted narratives. It forces them to confront the consequences of their actions
Yeah.
and to acknowledge the voices they've been ignoring.
It's like that saying, the emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
Suddenly their authority is called into question.
Not through angry shouts or violent protests, but through the deafening silence of those they've wronged.
It's a brilliant and time-tested strategy.
Yeah.
Look back through history at movements like the Civil Rights Movement, the fight for women's suffrage, the dismantling of apartheid.
Right.
Silence played a critical role in those battles, amplifying the message of resistance and pushing for change.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as choosing not to speak can have such a profound impact on the world.
It really speaks to the power we all possess to make a difference. And it reminds us that true strength isn't always about being the loudest voice in the room.
Right.
Sometimes it's about the quiet conviction of our beliefs, expressed through the unwavering resolve of our silence.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into this powerful life code. We've explored the personal benefits of silence, how it can empower us in our daily interactions.
Right. And now we've seen how it can ripple outwards, creating positive change on a grand scale.
And the key takeaway here is that silence is a choice. A deliberate act.
Okay.
It's about consciously choosing to respond to the world in a way that aligns with our values,
Yeah.
our inner strength, and our wisdom.
It's about choosing empowerment over impulsive reaction.
Right.
Choosing peace over chaos.
Yeah.
And trusting in the power of silence to help create a better world.
Beautifully said.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the power of silence.
It's been my pleasure.
If you're ready to dive deeper into these life codes, be sure to subscribe for daily insights and inspiration.
Yes.
Until next time, stay curious, stay strong, and embrace the power of your silence.